Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. Am I the idiot for threatening my father to kick him out with his family? Original post. I'm 25 male and not from the US and not looking to get into legalities, as I know where I stand on that. Some context. My father married his now wife when I was 15. She was really pushy with me because the relationship with her own daughter was almost non-existent. My father did nothing, and I ended up moving with my paternal grandpa a few months later. Grandpa passed away suddenly when I was 17, and I inherited all his properties. Instead of moving back with them, they moved with me to grandpa's house. I left when I was 18 to go to college, and I go back home a few times a year. I let them stay there rent-free as long as they don't touch my room in grandpa's office. The house has 4 rooms. Now, I got a call from him telling me that I need to clean my room, because they plan to turn it into a nursery room. Apparently, my father's wife got in touch with his daughter because she is pregnant and doesn't have a place to stay. I denied his request and reminded him who owns the house they are staying and better not touch the rooms unless they want me to kick them out. I told them there is an empty room, she can stay there, but he claims it's too small for both of them. I said that if they have a problem, they can go back to his own place. There she can take my room, though I don't know if he still has the house. I think I've been more than reasonable, but my uncle, father's brother, who doesn't have the best relationship with my father, called me to say to think about it and not kick them out. So I wonder, am I wrong? Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not wrong. It's your house. You let them stay there rent-free on the condition that they don't touch those 2 rooms. I think that's more than fair. They are getting a little overly comfortable with what you are so generously allowing them to do. Even if they agree to back off of this, I think it's way past time they start paying you for living in your house. Make it abundantly clear you are doing them a favor by allowing to live there. Another option is to have OP move out. They pay rent and sign a lease agreeing everything will be returned as was, like a regular lease. But the current agreement is what it is. Not wrong, OP. Not the idiot. Talk about kicking a gift horse in the mouth. They stay for free, so they are banking all that money. They have one rule, to not touch these 2 rooms. They invited someone to live with them. I'm going to guess without permission, and only call to ask you to move your things from your house. Wow. Just wow. The audacity of those people. If I were you, I'd task someone that you hire each week or month to make visit to the property and report back to you. I actually had someone who went to the house every month to check the rooms for me when I was in college. It stopped because of the bug and never asked her again. I'd ask her to start doing it again. Yes, start it up again. When you told him no and reminded him you own the house. How did he act or say? Next time remind him he does not pay rent. And you could rent it out for actual money if you wanted to. But you do not because you prefer your room to be left alone. So, if you have your room disturbed, you would probably just rent it out. My father didn't like it but told me to think about it, and that's it. Grandpa's house is the only property I don't want to rent. Not only because of my room, but for Grandpa's office. It's a thing of beauty, and it has a mammoth of a desk, and it would be a nightmare moving it lol. Now for the first update. The day I wrote the original post, I called Mrs. LeWire to accompany me to the house to deal with this in a civil manner. Well, Saturday we went early in the morning with the paperwork. Once we arrived and I tried to open the door, I got the pleasant surprise that my father had changed the locks. Big mistake. We talked through the door, and he told me that until I changed my mind, he wasn't going to let me in. I told him that I wasn't planning to kick them out, and I was there to solve this the right way. But if he wasn't going to let me in, I was going to do it my way. He still didn't let me in. On my way to the police station, my uncle called me and said that my father called him in order to make me change my mind, but he wasn't going to do it and will support whatever I decided. In the police station, Mrs. Lawyer explained the situation to them, and they came with us so I could evict them without issues. Once there, the police spoke to them and told them they had to let me in and get their things out as soon as possible. I even hired a moving truck for them. My father tried to fight, saying that he sold his house and doesn't have a place to go, and he also claimed that he was the rightful owner. But the dimwit doesn't have any paperwork to prove it. In a last attempt, he brought up the fact that my stepsister is pregnant, but unfortunately for them, she is in the early stages and doesn't matter either way. After their circus was over, the removal of their things was quick. Most of the things in the house are mine, except for the things they have in their room and my stepsister's stuff. I'm currently in the house and plan to stay here the next few days. I have changed the locks and I'm installing security cameras. I talked to my girlfriend about moving here, and she's more than happy to do so. I'm also going to talk to my boss about the possibility to work from home, but it's not a real problem if I can't. Without having to worry about the house, figuring out the rest is easy. That's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. Thank you for taking your time with this mess I used to call family. I love happy updates. Everyone does. I'm glad you live in a country where it was even possible to remove your father and his family from your house. In Canada, these kinds of situations usually fall in the tenant's favor. If you don't mind me asking, which country are you from? I'm curious to know because the cops were really helpful in your case. Ours would have asked to take the matter to the landlord in tenant board law. I prefer not to say the country, but it is located in America, and we don't have that kind of thing over here. Here, as long as you have the legal papers in your name, things will go your way. If my father had at least one bill in his name, I would probably have to start a legal process, and things could have taken longer, but the result would have been the same. But because everything was in my name and I was paying everything, he had no case and everything was quick. In fact, my father actually committed a crime. Even if he had something to his name or a proper contract in place, he can't make modifications without my approval or deny me access. He did both. The police could have used force without the need of a legal process. That's what I wanted, but I kept it clean on the advice of my lawyer. I'm so glad you dealt with this so calmly and rationally. You should teach a class in adulting. I'll keep following you though, because I seriously doubt this is the end of the drama in your life. Keep doing you. This internet stranger thinks you're doing an awesome job. I don't know, I'm just trying to do what my grandfather taught me, but thanks for the compliments. And I hope this is the last of my problems with him. The house was the last thing that was keeping us close. How did they take it? I assume with a lot of profanities. I looked from afar, but he didn't like it and was scared, worried because the police and my lawyer were there. My lawyer did the talk. She was the one who told me what I wrote in the post. Besides, with Mrs. Lawyer there, the police and the fact he knew he was walking on thin ice, he took no chances. He complied after the police and my lawyer told him he had no case. Now for the second update. My girlfriend found this space and asked me to share our last encounters with my father, so here it goes. I let my father and his wife live free for years in my house that I inherited from my grandfather as I lived somewhere else. He had to follow one rule to live free in the house, to not touch my room and my grandfather's office. I even paid everything except for their food and entertainment. But after living there for 7 years, he thought he was the owner of the house. A few weeks ago, he let his stepdaughter move in without consulting me. There was an empty room for her, but he wanted to give her my room. He had the courtesy to call me and tell me to get my things out of my room so she could move there. I refused and told him she could use the empty room, but I guess it wasn't enough. I went to the house only to find that he changed the locks and was not going to let me in unless I agreed to what he wanted. Long story short, I kicked them out. Lawyer and police were involved. I thought my father's misdeeds were over, as the house was the last thing that was keeping our relationship alive. But I was wrong. We hadn't heard from him until a few days ago when he showed up at the house. I wasn't there, but girlfriend was. My girlfriend told me that my father was there to tell us that since we are now living in the house, we have to host them for the Christmas holidays. Not only that, he gave her a list of the food they wanted and the gifts they expected to receive. My girlfriend told him to go away before she called the police. I again thought it was over, but I was wrong again. Yesterday we received another visit from him. Apparently, he called my mother to invite her to spend the holidays with us. She blew him off and told him she will take girlfriend and I to Europe for New Year's Eve. And he had the balls to demand she take them too. My mother just hung up. Mind you, this was the first time they had spoken after divorcing 16 years ago. He came to the house to demand I convince my mother to take them too, or that we pay for them to go with us. At this point, his attitude stopped being disappointing and turned comical. My girlfriend and I just laughed at him. We laughed so hard that we didn't notice when he left. I can say that we didn't have the best relationship, but he wasn't entitled. I mean, it was already clear why my paternal grandfather was completely disappointed in him, but it seems that he wants to take it to another new level. I don't know if he will stop, but I hope he does for the rest of the year. Edit. I have a security system. There are cameras everywhere. I know if he is there. I have other properties, my tenants and people close to girlfriend and me. Even my neighbors know what to do if my father approached them in my name. I doubt he will try to break in when we're not here. When I evicted them, my lawyer and the police were more than clear that he could face serious problems if he tries to enter the house or any other of my properties. Unfortunately, in my country, any kind of restraining order is pretty much useless. It is more helpful to call the police right then and there, and he knows I have no problem calling them. Imagine living rent-free and screwing it up because your ego wants you to be the boss of those being charitable to you. What a bonehead. Unfortunately, this isn't the first time he's messed things up, but at least he's spicing them up lol. You will need to make sure you have an excellent security system that covers the entire house inside and out. Make sure it informs you of anyone coming near, even if you are in Europe, just in case he decides the house is really his and tries to either move in or show up and take what he can. You need to shut him down now and hard before it gets worse. We have a great security system in the house and its surroundings. He is also persona non grata in the neighborhood. When I evicted them, the police and my lawyer let him know that he could be in serious troubles if he tries to enter the house without my permission. Personally, I'd still be getting a house sitter if I was going to be away more than a day. Have a friend stay in your house and watch over it while you are gone. Yeah, we already talked with someone of trust to stay in the house while we are away. Now for the last story. Am I wrong for telling my mom I refused to fix a problem she and my stepsister created? When I was 15, my then 19-year-old stepsister had a baby. She was still living at home at the time and didn't know who the dad of her daughter was, so my mom and her decided I would need to babysit every day after school until someone else got home. This went on until I turned 18 and moved out of my mom and stepdad's house and in with my brother who was the same age as my stepsister. My stepsister and I were never sisters. We never called each other family or had a relationship built on anything. So I never regarded her daughter as my niece, and I never planned to be an overly involved figure. After I moved out, I saw her 3 times in the past 6 years. I did not have a strong attachment to her, and I certainly never considered her like my own. But my mom and stepsister have hyped me up to her. They have told her that all these stories that are simply not true. Stories about me cuddling her to sleep, and how I used to call her my little baby, how I adored her more than anyone else in the world. My mom had taken a few photos of me and her that she had staged at the time. They show her those as if they were moments my mom had walked in on. So, she has been waiting for this aunt figure who considers her their own child. And when we saw each other 3 times this year, mostly focused on the fact I was having a baby, she was incredibly jealous and angry. The last time was at my grandparents' house. My partner and I were focused on our baby, and she was very emotional and trying to grab my attention. This is when what my mom and stepsister had been telling her came to light. She accused me of replacing her, of my baby stealing her place and trying to push her out. She said I used to do all that stuff with her, and now I didn't and it wasn't fair. She asked my stepsister to get me to do that stuff for her again. After some questions, it came to light what she was talking about. She wanted me to dedicate myself to her the way she had been told I had. She wanted me to put her before my child. My grandparents told my stepsister to leave, and after some arguing, she did leave with her daughter. Then they asked my mom what the hell she'd been thinking. And what happened from there is my mom called after everyone else had left my grandparents and told me I needed to talk to stepsister's daughter and help them fix the hurt she was going through. I told her it was not my job to fix a problem she and my stepsister created. My mom told me it was about a child, not about them, and I was not being very compassionate. Am I in the wrong? Nope. First they forced to babysit for 3 years. Then they expect you to be super aunt and focus solely on the kid. Do I feel bad for the child? Yes. But the mom and stepsister created this fantasy and need to deal with it. They want you to be involved in fixing it so that they don't have to take the blame for what they did. If you try to deal with it, it will be your word against theirs, and the replacement theory may be reinforced. Mom and stepsister need to own up to their lies. Poor kid, not the idiot. Not to mention, what do you even say? Sorry, kid, I never cared about you all that much. My mom and your mom are both big liars, so at least we have that in common. Either OP becomes a doormat and neglects her own kid, or she breaks her stepniece's heart and becomes the bad guy in her eyes. It will always be easier for the child to turn against OP than against her mother. Not in the wrong. While she's right in saying that this is about the child, there's no reasonable way for you to fix what they caused. To be honest, I wonder what exactly they expect you to do. Give up your own baby and adopt her. If your roughly 9-year-old niece is that fixated on an aunt she's hardly seen for most of her life, and particularly for most of the life she can remember, something is wrong in her own home. Yes, she needs someone to help her, but that should be a professional. You've done nothing wrong. Of course it's a bit sad you never formed an actual connection, but that doesn't make you an idiot. You were a teenager who didn't choose to become a free babysitter for 3 years. Congrats on your own child. It honestly sounds like the girl does not have a trusted adult. Nothing excuses her horrible behavior, but I suppose it's like kids who wish for their real parents to come rescue them. However, it's simply insane that a 9-year-old child expects to be coddled over a literal infant. I was expecting her to be much younger with that attitude. Maybe not. If stepsis and OP's mom were neglecting the child's emotional needs or not prioritizing her properly, which feels very likely since OP loved to do X with you, could easily become a way to avoid doing X while telling her those stories about OP. It can be that OP had become this mythical being that would prioritize her, make her feel special, and be there for her. 9-year-olds still can't express themselves or do emotions well. Everything here could be less a desire to be coddled and more a response to the fantasy of being someone's first priority crumbling in front of her eyes, and her trying to stop that happening. Hey there, it's your boy Foxy, back for more relationship stories. Update. My husband blamed his cheating on me because of my underwear. Original post. We, female 35 and male 36, have been married for a little under 2 months, together for 4 years. I loved him very much, and I thought he loved me too. Besides the usual quarrel and disagreements about dull and mundane tasks, we're good. He never complained about anything. Never. Our intimate life was amazing, and he told me so very often. He even texted me when we're at work all kind of NSFW stuff that made me blush in my office. Friday, I had only one morning meeting. Me and my colleagues went for a lunch afterwards, and then we decided to go home afterwards. We checked with our supervisor, and she said it was fine. Then I found my husband with another woman in our bed. I started running away in shock, and he couldn't really leave the apartment before putting his clothes on. Enough time for me to take the elevator alone. He's been calling and texting me all weekend. I'm at my brother's place. My brother and my sister-in-law don't know the details, just that my husband was cheating. This morning my husband came knocking. He begged audience and asked my brother to let him speak to me. My brother asked me if I wanted him to kick my husband out. But I told him that now I wasn't in total shock anymore, maybe I should just hear him out. So my brother, sister-in-law, and my baby nephew left for a brunch. My husband looked like he has been crying the whole weekend and wanted to hug me. I told him to stay on his side of the kitchen island and not to come nearer, or I would scream. He started first with a half apology and later explained why he was cheating on me. I never made effort for him. I'm always wearing comfortable underwear and never the sexy type. That's a turnoff for him. He felt like I didn't really care. I was stunned and didn't understand what he meant. Why didn't you tell me this? Why not try to buy sexy lingerie like many men did for their wives? He said he didn't want to offend me by suggesting that my underwear were dull and a turn-off. So, it was basically my fault that you cheated. He didn't say no, just looked at me crying his eyes out. I tried to remember what the girl was wearing, but I couldn't remember because my eyes went blurry the second I saw them. He asked me what I wanted to do, that we could fix this. He asked me if I wanted to know more about the woman in my bed. She meant nothing. I interrupted him immediately and told him that I was good. Then to get him out, I told him I needed time to think, even though I already made up my mind. I just didn't want him to stay longer to try to talk and argue and cry more. He has left now. I don't know what to feel. I never knew underwear were this big of a deal in relationships. I love cotton, neutral colors, mostly Calvin Klein basic. I have a very large chest, and honestly, any sexy bra is just a pain in the butt having on a whole day, always trying to adjust my babies in the cups. Big-breasted girls will recognize my issue. Dealing with all the unsolicited glaring from guys and even girls when wearing underwear that shows the shape. Plus, I don't feel unsexy in my very comfortable undies at all. Not once. I love my body. I work out 1.5 to 2 hours a day, and I'm very confident in my own skin. And how could he say that he wasn't satisfied with our intimate life when we're intimate at least 4 times a week? Was it all a lie when he said that I drove him crazy, and how I could turn him on with one look at him? I will never understand men. He gave me a false sense of confidence. And why did I catch them now? Couldn't I do it just 2 months ago? Now I need to find lawyers and start a freaking process that will take 2 years of my life, at least. Screw you, Kevin. Really freaking screw you. I hope you get destroyed by karma wearing sexy red lace G-string. Now for the top advice before reading the updates. He literally made the whole underwear thing up. He is spiraling, trying to think of anything to put the blame on anyone by himself. You guys were getting down 4 days a week. Yeah, there is no way he gave a damn about what you were wearing. And even if he did, there are about 1,000 other ways he could have approached it. He's just trying to come up with something to put the blame on you. I'm so sorry, OP, you didn't deserve any of this. Get rid of him. There are countless guys who would be thrilled to be with you. Right. I was just thinking how he'd rather cheat than have an honest conversation with his wife. Either he's a coward or a coward. Wild guess this wasn't the first time. Please go get tested ASAP. Well, yes, this too. I didn't even think about STD. It's not your underwear, it's him being crappy. That's a classic tactic when a person is caught cheating. Try to put the blame on you, especially if they can make it about something that would make you self-conscious. It's a manipulative attack, and you deserve so much better. Oh freaking please, it was not because of underwear. I can't roll my eyes back far enough. You deserve better than this trash. Once you divorce him, make sure you send pics of the new underwear you bought. When I'm so angry, it comes in waves. All I want to do is to share pics on my Instagram stories in sexy underwear, where only him can see my story. Then I come to my senses. Now for the first update. Hi everyone, since I got so much support last time I was here, I'm back for more attention. I didn't find my story anywhere, but thank goodness I still had the draft on my phone. I have it on my page. I have spoken to a lawyer, and unfortunately annulment isn't an option for us, even though we have been married for this short period of time. So I filed for divorce instead. My husband was so angry about it. So angry. He thought I was moving on too fast with everything and without even properly hearing him out. What more does he have to say? He texted me that this couldn't just be it. That he won't kiss me again. The last time he held and kissed me, he didn't know it was going to be the last time, or he wouldn't have let go. But then he wouldn't be able to bet Miss Sexy Panties, would he? Because he was in my bed with her a couple of hours after our last kiss. He's not the only one thinking that I'm moving too fast though. My family is reserved about it, but I have sensed that they also agreed with my husband about giving it more time. My brother even told me that I was welcomed in his home as long as I wanted, so I didn't need to make any rash decisions. This hurt me. My mother-in-law called me a few times, and she apologized and asked how I was doing. Yes, but she had ulterior motives too. She is worried about the financial part of the divorce. She asked me whether I thought being married for under 2 months would make me entitled to my husband's property. I don't know if I can take half when we've been married such a short period of time. I still haven't met my lawyer yet, so I don't know anything about division of property. My husband bought us the apartment we live in. Also, he owns some other properties that we rent out in a small lake cottage. I kinda understand where she's coming from, since I myself don't feel that I'm entitled to half. Now to what my husband did yesterday. As I said, my husband is very angry with me, and yesterday I knew the full extent of it. I received a delivery to my brother's house. A beautiful gift-wrapped box. Inside was a beautiful lace underwear. My size. Thank goodness my brother and sister-in-law were out on their usual walk and Sunday brunch because I broke down crying. And I cried for 2 hours straight. After I calmed down, I knew that my husband, after coming to his senses, would regret his very petty actions and would start reaching out to me. When my brother came home, I told him that I was going to visit my best friend and that he couldn't tell my husband where I was. My brother knew something was wrong because my eyes were still swollen, but he respected my wishes that I didn't want to talk about the details as it's so embarrassing. I just told him my husband did something hurtful and that he would try to apologize once he calmed down. I was right because my husband went to my brother's house asking about me because I wasn't picking up or answer him. He called and sent me at least 50 messages. I didn't read any because I had muted my phone. I also called in sick. Today my husband apparently showed up to my workplace hoping he would see me there. I'm so devastated and angry. I start crying the moment I'm alone. Why did he think he needed to hurt me even more? Wasn't cheating on in my own bed in the place I felt the safest, my home, enough humiliation for my husband? Why does he hate me so much? Just because I followed my broken heart and filed for divorce. I thought he knew me. I thought he knew I always followed my heart, or I wouldn't have married him in the first place. I was so close to putting the underwear on and blast Instagram with pictures of me in them. Or better yet, in my Calvin Klein gray cotton ones. I'm happy I came to my senses and put my phone aside. Is the pain I'm feeling ever going to go away? Edit. Okay, I did something petty. I made an Instagram story with my Calvin Klein, face not shown, with Beyonce's Cozy as background music. I know I'm going to regret it because of the pettiness, but right now I feel a rush. About the underwear I received yesterday. I'm not gonna burn or return them or cut them. I'm going to use them next time I'm hooking up. That's probably what my husband intended for me to do with them, and I'm going to oblige. I'm not American. In my country, it doesn't matter if he had the property before or after we got married. Everything we own together or separately is joint property and will be divided 50-50. My husband doesn't seem bothered by this yet. I think he's busy trying to figure out how to stop the divorce altogether right now. His family, on the other hand, are more outspoken about the division of the assets. They're also trying for an annulment. You could take solace in the fact you came to know about your husband's infidelity within 2 months of marriage, rather than 15 years later after having 2 to 3 kids. The reason he gave for cheating is gaslighting. It's as simple as that. And he blamed it on you. He's a covert narcissist. I know how that word is often thrown around and commonly used, but now you got to see his true face. And if loses half his properties, then good. That's karma. He got what he freaking deserved. Go to therapy. With time and therapy you will heal a lot. Yes, I really wished I caught him before we got married, but this is the next best scenario. Because we were planning our life and how many children we wanted, their names, everything. I'm lucky I found out sooner. In terms of the situation with your mother-in-law talking about the financial aspect of the oncoming divorce, my advice is no longer speak to anyone about the financial aspect of your marriage, especially to him or his family. If they have an issue with it, tell him to speak to your lawyer from here on out. Remember, whatever you say can and will be used against you in the court of law. Divorce settlements do not differ from anything else. Most states it's a 50-50 ordeal that isn't dealt with through premarital mediation or prenup. The second you guys sign your marriage license, it goes to 50-50 in a court of law, regardless of the length of time of the marriage itself. You tried to get an annulment, so there is proof right there that this wasn't some sort of premeditated attempt at someone's property. He messed up and that's that. That's what I'm planning to do. I'm too angry to text him back right now. He is still calling and texting, but when I've met with my lawyer face to face, I will ask my husband and his family to start emailing the lawyer instead of me. Girl, just block your mother-in-law. None of this is her business, and she isn't going to be a party in the divorce, is she? You didn't marry her. But you need your family with you. He's most certainly getting in their ears. Tell them everything, or at least talk to one, whichever you're more comfortable with, and let them explain everything. Him sending you that package is outrageous. The excuses are laughable, and I know finding out after being married 2 months is crap, but at least he didn't take years off you. You're still young and can find love with someone amazing, because he sounds like a complete idiot. Screw him. People like him love control, to be in power. That's why he sent you the underwear. You had all the control in the situation and he tried to get the upper hand. You deserve and will get so much better, and this whole thing will feel like a bad dream. That's exactly what my friend and I talked about. I was trying to move forward and start the process, so he had to send me the underwear to gain back some power. I don't know. I'm betting he's trying to fix it by sending the sexy undies. You had countered his BS excuse of the cause being not having sexy undies by asking why didn't he gift you what he liked as many a husband does. So, like the little boy who learned how an I'm sorry makes thing right with mommy, he thought sending you what he wants is going to mend the issue, leading into his bad act being totally your fault. Not just a swing and a miss, but a foul. Last petty update. I have now spoken to my husband. We talked about the practical things, and I told him that from now on he could talk to my lawyer. He asked me if he could see and talk to me in person. I said no. He then told me that he knew my Instagram story was for him. He said he was sorry for what he made me feel. He always thought I was beautiful, and it never had anything to do with my underwear. I said I know. He apologized for sending me the lingerie. He said he was angry with me when he did it. I said I know. He asked me to burn or throw them away, because I'm beautiful even wearing a potato sack. I told him that I was going to use them the next time I have sex, and I will remember him and thank him for the confidence boost. He went silent for a few moments and then said, I deserve this, I guess. I have cried since this morning. I feel like a child fighting a petty fight, but I'm done now. Nothing more to say. Why do people always say their cheating meant nothing? Isn't that worse? You threw away something real and wonderful for nothing. Reminded me of this. Ross, the important thing was that she meant nothing to me. Rachel, and yet she was worth jeopardizing our relationship. And of this from the movie Wolf, Charlotte Randall, I never loved Stuart. It was a mistake, Will. I'm going to talk to him. Stuart never for one moment mentioned he loved me. Well, Randall, you think that makes it better? To betray me over and over again with a man that meant nothing to you. To know you betrayed me for nothing. Oh, that is so sad. Poor OP, blaming her underwear for his lack of character. I always roll my eyes at in-laws who immediately begin to protect assets and or gaslight the wrong party. Like, you don't feel entitled to half of everything after 2 months as comments. Mother-in-law needs to be after her son. He is the one who made the decision to risk giving away half of his assets for a pair of sexy underpants. He just didn't think he would ever get caught. 100% he was cheating all along. You don't just wake up one day 2 months after you get married to your partner of 4 years and decide to find a random hookup. I'd take him to the cleaners in the divorce. Consider it the idiot tax. It wasn't 2 months, it was 4 years. He said he didn't want to offend me by suggesting that my underwear were dull and a turn-off. If this is true, someone didn't think this through very well, because the cheating is even more offensive than complaining about plain underwear. OP's ex is an embarrassment to my gender. I think it's fair to say her ex didn't think a lot of things through very well, if at all.